Well, so after a few days of working in Sweden,
I saw plenty of video and photo evidence of you not working in Sweden. There's precious little evidence of you actually doing any work, though. So whatever, sure, work.
David, what I do is of a highly confidential nature. If I just told the world what I was working on, there'd be mass hysteria. Markets would be in upheaval. It's just, David, we don't want to go there.
Did you just basically tell our podcast listener that you freeze markets?
No, I did not say anything like that. I'm just a very, 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 very moderately important person.
Oh, I shape America's future through the youth of America, the hope of America. So I guess I kind of do that too. Okay. I just want. There's a weird tension between Anthony and I, which is funny. So Anthony practices law. He has an Esquire at the end of his name.
I would say I execute law. I think I've practiced enough. I'm like at the stage now where, it's game time. We're talking about practice, David.
What more? What? Not a game. Not a game. Practice.
Yeah.
So, yes. Okay. So Anthony executes the whatever. It makes you sound like a super important.
Thank you.
But no, I wasn't finished. Anyway, there's this weird tension because Anthony has this job, I have a job, and I'm a professional too, but it's on like a much lower scale of what society sees as like a professional, which is kind of also demonstrated by the pay scale in my profession. So there's this funny tension where like it goes back. Anyway, I just think it's really interesting. So every time something like that comes up, it's fun. Anyway, go ahead, Anthony Giro Montague Esquire. Continue with your story.
Right. So after I was done with my meetings, I got to spend a few days in Stockholm. And so I take the train down to Stockholm and check into my hotel.
Sure.
And the first thing I do is to change out of my work clothes, and I'm going to get my tourist clothes on because I'm going to go walk through the city a little bit.
Hawaiian shirt, fanny pack, khaki shorts, sandals with socks, right?
Yep, sunscreen on the nose.
Yes, huge. Sunglasses with the ropes tied around your neck.
My Crocs.
Yes, but with socks though. Crocs and socks, right?
Yeah.
Crocs and socks.
My Scrocs.
I don't know if that's going to catch on, but I like it.
So...
Scrocs.
So I'm halfway through the process.
Sure.
Meaning the clothes are off.
Oh, so you're naked. Basically?
Extremely close.
I apologize for the visual.
Extremely minimal amounts of clothing on at this point.
I'm so excited for what's about to happen. Go.
And my hotel door opens.
Oh, not a knock.
No knock.
Excuse me. It opens.
It just opens.
Welcome to Europe.
Wide open. And I'm where I can be seen right there. Like there's now visual contact between me and the lady who has opened my door. She's hotel staff. And I say, oh, changing, busy. And she says, oh, no, it's okay. Like, putting your hands up. I'm like, well, no, it's not.
Like, don't worry. I am not offended at all by your near nudity, sir.
You may be European. I am wholly American, all right? I come from Puritan stock, all right? I'm not... Anyways. And so she says, no, it's okay. And she holds up in her left hand 2 Heinekens. Now, I'm not familiar with this Swedish tradition. And so I say, no, I didn't order them. Oh, she says, no, I just put them down. And she walks over to the table, like, right by me.
Where you're basically half naked.
Yes. And sets them on the desk.
Sure.
And, like, kind of gives me a little, like, nod.
Like, have a good day, sir, kind of a nod?
Exactly. And walks out. The whole while, I'm just like...
When she nodded, was she to give you a little smile? Like that customer service smile?
I don't know, Dave.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to paint this picture in my head because this scenario gets better and better the more details you put into it.
Yeah, at least you didn't ask for a tip. And so I'm just completely confused. 1, like, no knock. Just walk in, right? 2, why are there 2 Heinekens on the table? I didn't ask for them. They didn't ever show up on a receipt or bill or anything. So I'm assuming it's just like, hey, thanks for staying at our hotel. Here are 2 Heinekens. Yeah, and so it was a very nice European welcome, I guess, to the city. I'm assuming they do this with all their guests. But anyways, I learned from then on, use the deadbolt. You always use the deadbolt.
Yeah, that's like hotel rule number 2.
Yeah. I'd never really just, been walked in on in my hotel before. So caught me off guard.
You got caught with your pants down. This is Subjectively Correct Sports, the only podcast in the known universe featuring a couple of guys talking about sports and Anthony's half nudity. Unless there's another podcast out there doing that, let us know. That'd be cool.
To maintain our family rating, I cannot divulge any further details.
I wasn't asking for details. Trust me, I don't want them either. I'm here for the audience. I'm trying to make the audience laugh, but I also made them think more about you being half naked. I just did it again. That's my bad. We should move on. I am David. I am fully dressed. This is Anthony. He is usually fully dressed, unless he's in a private setting like a hotel room with the door locked.
Except when I'm in Europe, I just take the clothes off.
Well, apparently, when you're in a locked room in Europe, people ignore the locks.
This is my American ignorance. When you're behind closed doors,
Yeah.
you know, you think you could take some clothes off and be comfortable, but no, nothing is private in Europe except everything on the internet. Like, you visit any website in Europe, they pass this GDPR, the General Data Protection Rules or Regulations. Wow, this is a topic we should not go into on this podcast.
I think so. Keep it going. This is great.
Essentially, like, in Europe, no one can use your information without your consent. Like, you know, we have like cookies and things like that on websites here. Well, it's just like on steroids in Europe, the regulatory scheme there. You have to consent to everything before they can use your information at all. It's about data privacy. Like, even it goes so far that, like, in Germany, they won't conduct a background check because they feel it's a violation of privacy.
They won't do a background check?
A background check. Yeah. So, sorry. Interrupted your intro.
No, sorry. I just have something I need to look up on Google Translate real quick. I'm going to, let's see. Take a look at
Excellent podcasting.
Yeah, okay. Just like I thought, there's no Swedish word for privacy. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
I just typed in the Google Translator and it just came back with nothing.
Well, there is a word there. I see it.
Oh, you ruined the joke.
I'm looking at
You
the
ruined
word.
the joke. You ruined... Man, go back to Sweden.
Okay.
Close my laptop in anger. That was that sound. Man. You lost your comedic timing in Sweden.
Integrity. Was that the word?
I don't know.
Something like
I have
that.
to open it back up again. That totally ruins the joke. Now my old computer won't turn back on. Great, you ruined my computer. Anyway, you can find us on iTunes, Google Play, except for me on my computer right now because that's broken thanks to Anthony and his... Oh, it's back! Never mind. Everyone relax. My computer's back. So we can continue with the show. Please subscribe, like, give us a 5-star review, leave some comments. We love the 3 or 4 people that commented. We appreciate you. So, Anthony, there was quite a bit going on in sports. This is going to be fun. I think it's going to be a fun show today. We're going to get Sweden stories, like you being half naked with a couple of Heinekens on a table that you didn't ask for, delivered by a woman you didn't want in your room who came in with the door locked.
Situation I would never be in, like, ever, by my own design.
Right?
There's, like, 4 aspects of that story that just make me extremely uncomfortable.
Hotel rooms?
Yes.
Europe?
Exactly.
I got 2 of them. Okay, we'll stop at those 2. Okay. So Anthony's been unplugged for a while, and he got in Sunday late, jet lagging it hard, and then he goes to work Monday morning. What kind of slave masters are you working for? I thought Europeans are supposed to be like cool with their labor and like everyone's on holiday 8 months out of the year and stuff.
That's right. They need the Americans to work for them so they can do that.
Is that what it is?
More or less.
I imagine like whole boardrooms full of attorneys in Sweden. Like, make the Texas lawyers do it.
Yeah.
That's so great. So Anthony's been unplugged. I've been mostly plugged in. We've had sicknesses in the home and stuff, but it's been a big week in sports, and I'm excited to talk about it.
And I'm excited to learn about it for the first time because, like David said, I've just not been plugged in at all. I don't know what's happened with the NFL. I've got some headlines here or there, and so I'm trying to get up to speed over the last 24 hours. But a lot of the stuff I'll be hearing for the first time.
Right. So I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. Something really weird happened to me on Sunday. All my life I've been a 49ers fan. I fell in love with the 49ers when I was really young, with Joe Montana, Ronnie Lott, Roger Craig, all those guys. Some guy named Jerry Rice was on the team back then, I think. But anyway, I loved those teams, and so I fell in love with the team that way. And then Steve Young came up, and my dad was at BYU the same time Steve Young was in BYU. So I'm a big 49ers fan and always have been. My mom's dad, my grandpa Larry, I've never called him Larry in my life. I don't know why now I just decided to call him Grandpa Larry. I've never done that before ever.
It was helpful for me.
Was it?
Yeah.
To differentiate between the two grandpas?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay, so Grandpa Larry and I, why Oh, wait, sorry. Distraction. Grandpa Larry and I would, bond over the 49ers because he lived in San Francisco for a time anyway. This is the most long-winded explanation I've ever in my entire life. I'm going to end it right now and get to my point.
Okay.
Sunday, I'm watching Packers, and I'm blanking on who they played all of a sudden.
Vikings.
Thank you.
Hey, I knew something.
You did. You were more help than me. And you were in another part of the country. You're in a different hemisphere.
Okay. Well, the only reason I know this is because the Swedes are Vikings fans. Not because they follow Minnesota football, but because they has a logo of the Vikings. And so you see people walking around the streets with Minnesota Viking hats on.
And you're like, oh, football fan? And they're like, what is this football?
Yeah. Exactly.
Soccer, English Premier League? That's funny. In Argentina, I lived there for a couple of years doing religious missionary stuff, and I would see guys wearing Yankee hats all the time. And I love baseball, and I played baseball. So I'd go up to be like, oh, you know baseball? No one in this country knows baseball. And they'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, your hat. Like, they'd look at it and like, it's an N and a Y. Like, well, what I'm like, it stands for New York, like the Yankees. And they're like, I hate Yankees, because that's what they call all Americans. And I was like, okay, well, the hat you're wearing means Yankees, just so you know. And they look at the hat all disgust me, like, and put it back on their head and wear it. So that's funny. That probably happens in other places in the world, too. But as I was watching my favorite quarterback of all time and his team play, I realized I was getting super excited about everything going on. Normally, I just watch for Aaron Rodgers. But anytime the defense did something well or anytime special teams did something well, I get excited. And I was like, oh my gosh, am I a Packers fan? So as I'm watching, and I'm invested in the Packers now because of Aaron Rodgers and how much I enjoy watching him play, I care about the Packers. There's also a rookie from BYU who's on the team. I think his last name is Williams. He's a running back. And so I want him to do well because he goes to my parents' alma mater and stuff like that. So anyway, watching the game, I'm invested, and it gets down to the wire, right? And Kirk Cousins. Yeah, you remember Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, I remember Kirk Cousins.
He's a Viking now.
Yeah.
He's trying to coin the phrase, you Vike that?
Oh, no.
You Vike that.
You like that.
Oh.
Instead of you like that.
Yeah, because last year or the year before that, when he led his team to a comeback in Washington, he came out in the locker room and he goes, you like that? You like that?
You like
right,
that.
now it's you like that. Well, anyway, he drops back for a pass, right? About to let it go. Clay Matthews hits him on the shoulder with his shoulder and partially his chest. Their helmets don't even touch. They go down to the ground, and Clay Matthews catches himself and kind of rolls to the side a little bit off of Kirk Cousins. Because of the pressure, bad throw, defensive backs played it well, they pick it off. Right? Okay. Game's basically over because this is the last 2 minutes of the game. The ball would have gone back over to the Packers. They would have been able to ice it and end the game, right?
Yeah, okay.
Flag, 15-yard penalty, roughing the passer for, quote, putting his weight on Kirk Cousins. And Clay Matthews, when the flag gets thrown, he doesn't even acknowledge it. He's just like, we win, because he's not even thinking. There's no way that was a roughing the passer call, right? So what happens instead, 15 yards, Vikings get another chance. They take it down, they score, they tied the game after 2-point conversion, right?
How do you Vike that?
Oh, I didn't Vike it at all because I wanted the Packers to win. But I guarantee you Kirk Cousins Viked it. You know who else Viked it? Whoever paid the referee to do that. Interesting note on this, too. So the hit, you can look at it. It looks so benign. It's one of the weakest quarterback hits I've seen flagged ever. And the NFL came out and they said they're going to use that clip and that video as a training video to the other referee crews as an example of how to correctly call that rule in that new law. No, a new rule. Don't want to call it a law.
So what did the official decision say? What did he do incorrectly?
That he put his weight on the quarterback after the tackle. So basically he was supposed to stop falling and fly above him.
Okay. So it wasn't that he hit him too high. It wasn't that he hit him too low.
Nope.
The hit itself was good.
Apparently the hit was on time and legal.
Okay, but it was the follow through, his momentum carried him on to Kirk Cousins.
Sort of.
As they fell to the ground.
And they kind of, I want you to watch the video later so you can see it, but it's not like he's pancaking him and landing on top of him. It's like he kind of glances him, rolls off to the side, because, he did just tackle him.
Yeah.
That tends to happen when you tackle somebody.
I mean, I haven't seen the video, but from what you're describing, I don't know how defensive players are expected to do their job properly.
Especially with the quarterbacks.
Especially with the quarterbacks these days that are 6'4", 250 pounds. I mean, Cam Newton, you try and arm tackle or push Cam Newton to the ground, Eli Manning had 4 Patriots around him in the Super Bowl and somehow wiggled free, right? to make the pass to David Tyree, the helmet catch. I mean, if you look at that, he's got like 3 or 4 guys get a really good shot at him, and he somehow gets free. He takes the hits, he absorbs them, gets free.
And he's as cement-footed as they come as far as quarterbacks go, man.
Yeah.
So imagine, like you're saying,
he's the most unathletic.
Yeah, going from Cam Newton to going to Eli Manning was the best. That was the best juxtaposition you could have made.
And so, if what you're asking defensive players to do is to hit but not follow through, I don't see how they're going to tackle, absent just a complete blindside hit, how they're going to tackle some of these quarterbacks.
Right, and I really feel like a lot of defensive players are getting very uncomfortable when they're rushing the passer because of that.
Yeah.
Like, Khalil Mack is an absolute monster. He is. Playing for the Bears, he is just destroying every backfield he goes into. And he's put up crazy good numbers for a defensive player in the first couple of weeks. But I feel like his style of play has been neutered with these new rules because he can't go full all the time. And I understand they're trying to protect players. I understand that. And that's important. Player safety is important, especially for the players that bring in all the money. The Peyton Mannings and the Brett Favres and the Joe Montanas and the Joe Namath. You go back to all these famous quarterbacks. When they're on the field, the game's better. And so you protect the quarterback, right? But to the extent that the defense is handcuffed in what they can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we should be able to hit the quarterback as hard as we want and as violently as we want. That's not what I'm saying. But at least let them have a fighting chance.
Yeah. I wonder if this is called consistently throughout the duration of the season, if you will start to see scheme changes where maybe they're dropping, they're decreasing the number of defensive linemen, right, and getting another defensive back in there. I wonder how this rule change will affect, especially kind of late game situations.
Yeah, and you have to take that into consideration because it cost the Packers a game, and of course, no one play defines an entire game. You know what I mean? Because if the Packers converted a 3rd and long one time instead of punting one time, or if they got better field position one time, so we can't say that play lost them the game. But at that point, if it went the other way, the Packers would have won.
Yeah.
So it definitely affected the outcome. It cost them the game up to that point, right? So I think this might start getting called more. I think a lot of defensive players, I feel so bad for them because it started with the defensive backs, and it started with the defensive backs not being able to hand fight as much as they used to. The contact down the field rules got more strict, and what you could do to the receivers got more and more strict, which just opened up the game and has changed the NFL so that it's much more in favor of the offense. And then now it's happening with the pass rushers. So I don't know if the league is conscientiously going for safety. Doubt it. I think they're more going for let's make an exciting game by keeping these quarterbacks upright. Because one thing the league can't have is Aaron Rodgers getting injured again.
Yeah.
And when he went down in week 1 and he hurt his leg, and I mentioned this in Dave's Hot Take something or other, name pending, I thought, man, I'm not going to enjoy the NFL anymore. I'm not. This is not going to be as fun a season because my favorite player is out, and it was a bummer. He came back, and he did Aaron Rodgers things and was amazing and saved the day. But the NFL is trying to prevent that. It's trying to prevent their most visible, their most valuable, and their most interesting players, and they're trying to keep them in the game, which I get. But, man, I would hate to be a defender in the NFL right now. Unless you're Jalen Ramsey. He's fun.
Yeah. So, well, what else has been happening in the NFL? Because I missed both the first 2 weeks.
Okay.
I got highlights is really all I've got.
Anthony, Fitzmagic.
Whoa, Fitzmagic?
Fitzmagic. And, of course, I'm talking about the Dolphins' Minka Fitzpatrick.
Ah. Okay. I actually did hear about this. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wherever he's playing now. Yeah, it's the Buccaneers. Yeah. So Jameis Winston was suspended for the first 3 games.
Right, yeah.
Enter Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, and so apparently he's been doing pretty well. Led his team to 2 victories in the first 2 weeks.
It's like, I can't explain it. It's like, I have no comparison. I have zero comparison. It's like plugging in your Super Nintendo and PlayStation 4 graphics come up on the screen.
Yeah, I did hear on the radio today. He's 35 years old.
35
right?
years young.
Yeah. So he's having you can't call it a resurgence because you have to have a surgence.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of surgence. Well, this is so Ryan Fitzpatrick. He'll throw 18 touchdowns and 3 interceptions over 5 games, and then he'll flip it and go 3 touchdowns and 18 interceptions. This is so. Okay,
Yeah.
Keep saying what you were about to say.
Okay. So everyone's super hyped about his performance so far. He's definitely won himself the starting job until he starts throwing more interceptions than touchdowns.
What's interesting is I've heard a lot of people say you got to put Jameis back in there.
Right, as soon as he's eligible to play.
That's what I've heard, which is interesting. I don't know.
Well, I don't know all their names, but I did the same radio segment I was listening to. One of the receivers, Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
Was saying, no, it's like NBA Jam. You got to go with the hot hand. When someone's on fire, you got to keep letting him shoot.
Even if it's Sean Bradley.
That's right.
Sean Bradley's got to shoot the 3 ball. If he's in there and he's on fire, Sean Bradley shoots the 3.
Boom shakalaka. Huh?
That was such a good impression. You should have seen his hands.
Oh, Fitzmagic, you know. Never believe it's not so.
Oh, Fitzmagic, you know.
Okay. So he's been playing so well that he's adopted this new nickname, Fitzmagic, right? Okay, except there's another NFL player, Minka. Who names their boy Minka?
Don't go there.
Okay. Minka.
Actually, I don't know why. I was just trying to make you uncomfortable. I have no idea why.
All right. Minka Fitzpatrick. He's a what is he?
He's a rookie.
He's
safety.
a safety.
Yeah,
safety for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Who apparently are still a NFL team.
Oh yeah,
they're a professional football team still.
And they've won their first 2 games.
What?
Yeah. So the Jets beat someone in week 1. That was a surprise, right?
Okay.
Sam Darnold had kind of a coming out party, and then the Dolphins beat the Jets, right? And now everyone's like, huh? Yeah, the Dolphins beat the Titans with that crazy rain delay game. Oh, the rain delay game.
I don't.
Right?
Yeah.
You basically had time to fly. Like if you left like New York on a plane at like 3 minutes left in the second quarter, you could have flown to Miami and got to the stadium to see the next half. Like the delay was forever because of lightning and stuff, right? But they beat the Titans and then they beat the Jets, who surprised people with their win in week 1.
Okay.
So you know what that tells me? That everyone in that league is like in a big bunch.
Yeah.
And then you have like the Patriots, who also lost this week.
But they lost to the Jaguars, right? Who are actually a really good team.
They're a good Blake Bortles away from a Super Bowl.
So they'll never make it to the Super Bowl? Is that what you're saying?
I think a certain blackballed quarterback would be a 2-time Super Bowl champion at this point on that team.
How did you describe that quarterback?
A blackballed quarterback.
Oh, as in they're blackballed from the league.
Yes.
Aha. Okay.
So Minka Fitzpatrick played for Alabama in his senior year, right? And they say he's going to be a star in the league. He's one of the Dolphins' best players already. They say he's a leader. And why would he be upset at this whole Ryan Fitzmagic thing, Anthony?
Okay, so apparently his mom has said that he's had the nickname Fitzmagic since high school.
Well, if Mama said.
Yeah, and so on September 12th, so a mere 6 days ago, he filed to trademark the name Fitzmagic.
Smart.
And I think it's I don't think it's fair to say that this is a coincidence. I think you saw the hype around Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Fitzmagic nickname going to Fitzpatrick or to Ryan Fitzpatrick. And so he felt like he had to do it now before Ryan Fitzpatrick trademarked the name, right? And so his plan is to sell T-shirts and other gear with the name Fitzmagic.
Well, one thing's for sure. That window of like profitability with the name Fitzpatrick and Fitzmagic is going to be about as long as the Ryan Fitzpatrick magic. So it's going to be like 2 weeks of great sales and then it's going to go away if this pattern continues.
I just feel bad for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like,
why?
Because he only has 2 or 3 weeks left of this, right? Before the magic runs out. Like, let the man capitalize for a month, right?
So let him trademark something. And Minka Fitzpatrick, who by all accounts is going to be a star in the league, is like, no, I'm taking this from you too, Fitzpatrick. Okay, Anthony, I want to show you something.
Also, when did Ryan Fitzpatrick turn into Conor McGregor?
Dude, yes! I pulled up this picture to show Anthony. This is fantastic. In fact, if you're not paying attention, you will think that is a very bearded...
Wow.
Very bearded...
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor, right. I kept thinking Ewan McGregor, because he kind of looks like Ewan McGregor, too, from Star Wars fame.
He's been playing like a Jedi. Which... I don't know if Jedis would play well, but I feel like they could... If a Jedi played any position, it would be quarterback, because you could direct the ball, right? They can move objects.
Aaron Rodgers would still be better.
Probably.
No, I think the best position for a Jedi is any position because he has the Force. Okay, conversation over. I just ended it. Darth Vader would make a really good linebacker. Could you imagine Darth Vader playing linebacker?
He's a little slow.
No, he's not. Kind of is. But, okay, so D-tackle? Imagine. Hi-ya! Force choke sack every time.
No, it'd be jump of the hut.
And just when I thought that this wasn't going to be a bad pun episode.
All right, so but Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't the only surprising quarterback, right? I guess I saw that Patrick Mahomes, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right.
You are.
Threw for like 10 touchdowns over the first 2 weeks.
Let me get research on that.
That's like never happened in the history of football.
Yeah, he's breaking records and stuff, I think. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah.
And he does not look like an NFL quarterback to me.
So, yeah, I think a lot of people were scratching their heads when Alex Smith went to the Redskins.
Yeah, that was a curious thing.
Yeah, a stable quarterback who had taken you to the playoffs a few years in a row. There wasn't like a huge drop off in performance or anything last year, but I think they found a diamond in the rough with this guy.
Yeah, a little bit. So you're willing to give up Alex Smith for a guy who's going to get you a 143 rating, 582 yards, and 10 touchdowns.
To 0 interceptions.
Yeah, his ratio is pretty good right now. So yeah, Patrick Mahomes. But you know what? A lot of this is, and we talked about this with Matt Ryan and Kyle Shanahan. Andy Reid is a noted offensive genius.
Yeah.
And so he can take a mediocre quarterback and make him look amazing. He can make him look elite, buzzword, because of his play calling and things like that. And then you surround him with people like Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt. So the combination of Patrick Mahomes being good enough and having the big arm, plus the skill talent around him, plus the offensive scheme and the offensive play calling that can really make a difference in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes is going to look very good. But I don't know if it'll translate to other teams.
I think there's a clear thread that we're not connecting here.
Which is?
It's Patrick. It's the Irish. It's the luck of the Irish, man.
Have you seen the pictures of Patrick Mahomes?
His name's Patrick. He's Irish.
Okay. If you want to keep pulling on this thread, go ahead.
If your name's Patrick, the month of September is yours.
Okay. Why not March?
Because they don't play football in March.
That's true. So one of my best buddies from the hospital when I worked at the hospital in registration was a nurse assistant, emergency tech, right? They did more than just CNA stuff. But anyway, his name was Daniel Patrick O'Connor.
Mm.
And he is straight up from the Mother Island. Like, he is the most Irish person I know. He kissed the Blarney Stone. Like, I'm not kidding. He kissed the Blarney Stone. So he goes up to the castle, in the Castle Blarney, at the town of Blarney or whatever it is. And there's these leprechaun, curmudgeon-looking Irish dudes up there. And they're like, hello, lad, what's your name? And on some field trip or something. And he's like, Daniel Patrick O'Connor. It's like, you need to kiss the actual Blarney Stone. And so they were sending foreigners to kiss like a different stone that wasn't like a real stone, but because his name was Daniel.
The dirty stone.
Yeah, because it was Daniel Patrick O'Connor, like they knew he was like straight up from the Mother Island, like I said. They grabbed him by the ankles, dangled him over the edge, and said, that's the one, lad. And they had him kiss the actual Blarney Stone. And so anytime he like convinced someone to do something his way or something like that, we'd be like, oh, blessed with the gift of Blarney. I love Daniel Patrick O'Connor. I miss you, Danny. Anyway.
So I guess he should be playing football right now.
Dude, he would be so good if he were. Man.
All right, so yesterday, once I was back in the States and could actually pay attention to some things.
And eat some burgers.
I saw that the Browns, because why not Browns, released Josh Gordon. Well, they were thinking of releasing Josh Gordon, but they ended up working out a trade. And where did he go? The Patriots, of course, because it's the Patriots. And what do the Patriots do better than maybe any organization? They take wide receivers who are just past their prime and get another year out of them.
Perfect example of this, like you mentioned before, was Randy Moss. In 2006, Randy Moss played 13 games, had 42 receptions for 553 yards and 3 touchdowns with the Oakland Raiders.
Woo!
The next year, in New England, he played 16 games, had 98 receptions for 1,493 yards and 23 touchdowns.
Okay, but he only septupled his production.
Yeah, so I mean, if Josh Gordon septupled, look at the quarterbacks that Josh Gordon has had in Cleveland. One of the years he had the most receiving yards in a season. I don't even remember his quarterback because the Browns have had 58 in the last 7 years, and he was just blowing the league away. Now imagine if they can like rein him in, right? Get him focused on football, and then say, okay, hey Josh, will you go play with Tom Brady and Gronk for a while? Magic is gonna happen.
I just think about the Browns, like management and owner and coaching staff, and it's like you imagine like I don't know, say they have like a wife or girlfriend who doesn't watch the games, and they come home, they're like, "Do you lose again today, honey?" After the first week, and they're like, "No." "Oh, so you won?" "No." Like even when they don't lose, they don't win.
How did the Browns end a losing streak? They tied.
With a tie.
And then this week, you know what happened? They score a touchdown, right?
Okay.
To either tie. I think they scored. Yeah, they're playing the Saints, and they scored a touchdown to tie the game late, and their kicker missed an extra point.
Oh no, I did see this. Yeah, poor Zane Gonzalez, right? I think it was his name.
I think he was his name. He's out of a job now.
Well, okay, so the story I saw on this though was that he was injured, and like the medical staff knew he was injured, but when Hugh Jackson, the head coach, was asked about it, he's like, "Oh, I didn't know that."
Okay.
Like
okay. So apparently this guy who comes out 3 times a game to either win it or lose it for you is hurt.
Yeah.
And this billion-dollar organization doesn't know that one of their most important players is hurt.
Some of the people knew.
Apparently.
But the guy who makes the final decisions on who plays and who doesn't didn't know.
Okay, that is just the perfect example of management incompetence. Like, I don't know if necessarily that starts from all the way at the top, but that's just the most Browns thing I've ever heard. I thought tying to end a losing streak was the most Browns thing I've ever heard. No, losing the next week because the kicker is hurt and nobody told the people in charge.
The man was missing a foot and he still sent him out.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that poor guy. I feel bad for him now. Because there are no backup kickers? Are there backup kickers? Speaking of kickers, Janikowski for the Seattle Seahawks is a beast.
Is he the same Janikowski who's been in the league for like 15 years?
Yes, he's like 40 years old and he's like 250 pounds, and it's glorious. He kicked an almost game-winning field goal. Oh, he plays for the Packers now. He kicked a game-winning field goal that they called timeout on at just the last second, so it went through the uprights, but they didn't count it, and then he missed the next one. Oh, but anyway, watching him kick is amazing.
Watching him tackle is even better. All right, David, so while I was away, you know, one of the things I was most excited about was to when I got to Sweden was to really dig into this jewel heist that we've been, I think, probably the premier outlet for Swedish jewel heist news.
I think so.
At least domestically.
I think so. Absolutely. I think when people think of Swedish jewel heist, they think of subjectively correct sports. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why we spent the money to send you out there as our on the ground correspondent.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for some juicy, good information about the jewel heist.
Okay.
And because I know you probably have a better story than the eyewitnesses that when the story was first released, because those guys, wow, they got everything wrong.
They did. Okay. So I get there and I'm thinking, oh, I can't wait for my meetings to get over. I'm gonna
these meetings that supposedly happen. Go ahead.
I'm gonna get to my hotel room. I'm gonna change. No one's gonna walk in. No one's gonna walk in on me.
If only.
And then I'm gonna travel to the town of Strängnäs and to their cathedral and I'm just gonna look at all the clues. I'm gonna piece everything together. I brought my yarn so I could like tie photos together and figure out who the culprits were, take them down, gain international acclaim. David, my mere presence in the archipelago, because the Stockholm region's an archipelago.
Thank you for explaining that. Now please explain what an archipelago is.
It's a collection of islands.
Thank you.
Okay.
Carry on.
My mere presence. I was there from September 10th through September 16th.
Is that on the Swedish calendar?
No, September 9th.
Is that on the Swedish calendar or the American calendar?
Yes.
Okay.
And the day that I was planning my trip to go out there, breaking news. They found one of the heisters.
Get out. One of the criminal masterminds was caught?
The Swedish police knew that I was about to break this case open.
Obviously.
And so they tripled their efforts.
I imagine. You put some pressure on them.
They got Interpol involved.
Anthony Montague from Subjectively Correct Sports is here in the country. We got to get this going.
We can't have this American coming in, taking all our headlines.
Yeah, this hotshot podcaster with the nose for the law.
So they found this criminal. They brought him in for questioning. They requested to detain him because they have some weird laws about, like, if you don't have enough evidence, you have to let the criminals go. What kind of judicial system is that?
So basically, if you can't prove they did something wrong, they get to go free?
Yeah.
I mean,
There's no Guantanamo Bay in Sweden. Weird. Okay, so they caught him, and so I still wanted to go down. I wanted to aid in the investigation.
Sure.
But
I'm surprised they didn't ask you by name.
After talking to my Swedish lawyer colleagues, they recommended that I don't get involved at this stage, that it could be more harmful than good.
For you or for the case?
For the case, that I would bring too much attention to it.
That makes sense. I mean, it's kind of a big national embarrassment.
We didn't want the paparazzi.
That's true. I mean, the national jewels were stolen. They don't want to bring more attention to it until they've solved the case and have them returned. So I get that. They don't want the rogue American agent to go in there and take care of it.
So I passed along all my Post-it notes.
There you go.
All my clues that I had gathered.
Did you send little emails like, hey, let's review these later?
I wrote everything on the back of Swedish Fish and mailed it to the Inspector General. And so I'm letting the Swedish police handle it. But I was a little disappointed in talking to the locals about the case.
Can't imagine why.
No one knew about it.
What?
No one knew. I told them about the Swedish jewel heist, and they're like, oh, the one from a few years ago? First of all, if you're saying the one from a few years ago, you've got too many Swedish jewel heists on your hands.
Or too many Swedish jewels.
That's right. Consolidate the jewels, or maybe just invest in a security guard.
Okay, and here's my thing. It seems like okay. Sweden is stretched really thin. It seems like with their security on national treasures and jewels and stuff like that. Yeah. Right? I mean, America has no shortage of national treasures.
They're giving way too much of their money to healthcare and education.
The Constitution.
Yeah.
And the Declaration of Independence, all these monuments we have at national parks. I mean, these are all national treasures for us.
Yeah, has anyone tried to steal the Lincoln Memorial? I think not.
No.
Right?
No, absolutely not.
White House, still there.
Yep. I bet Nicolas Cage could take the Lincoln Memorial.
Or David Copperfield.
See, I was going like movie reference. You went magician.
Yeah.
I think Copperfield could. Isn't he like not around anymore though? Like his career vanished. Magician joke. Okay. Do I need to remind you of Jabba the Hutt?
Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, when you do it like that, it's better.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Did you have a point?
No.
Okay.
I forgot because of your bad puns again. Bad puns take over. Why'd you just put your thumb at me? Like you were looking at your computer screen like, well, can you believe this guy?
David, the on-air sign is flashing. Okay,
the on-air sign?
Say something. Okay. So, yeah, they had no idea about this the current Swedish jewel heist.
This was my point. They must have too many jewels to take care of because they can't keep track of them all. They're losing them all the time. If they're really you can't call them Swedish royal jewels if there's so many of them that they start losing their importance that you don't even have a guard to cover them and guard them. You know what I mean? If a guy can just break the glass and walk out with them, it's obviously not that important. So anyway,
okay.
The end. That was my point, I think.
So I'm just going to keep an eye on this still. There's still one criminal at large.
Have they found the jewels?
They haven't recovered them.
Then we've got nothing. They should have put you on the case.
I'm ready to go back at a moment's notice. For now, I'm going to follow it from afar and try not to disrupt the ongoing investigation.
Makes sense.
So one of the things I didn't want, really follow sports while I was away, but the team that I did follow, believe it or not, was the Dodgers.
Huge surprise.
My cat's name's Mamba.
You did that so wrong.
Oh. And so I couldn't watch the games because apparently
you did it badly. Not just badly, you did it wrong.
They don't air the games in Sweden. Apparently, it's not a super popular sport.
Wait, baseball's not popular in Sweden?
Not as popular as you would think.
How about that? Because I thought it would be pretty unpopular.
So I was having to follow and the games were at super weird times. Like one game would start at 3 a.m. and they'd have like 2 games scheduled on the same day. I'm like, oh, it's a doubleheader. It's like, no, it's just one game's at 3 a.m. and one game's at 11 p.m. Right? So 2 separate days in the U.S., but the same day in Sweden. And so, so I was able to kind of follow, at least stay up to date. And the Dodgers have now moved into first place. They have a series going with the Rockies right now. When this podcast is published, they could be a half game down or 1.5 games ahead of the Rockies. We'll see. That NL West race is still very tight, and the Diamondbacks are only, I think, about 4 games back of the Rockies.
Now, is the NL West race, is that the closest playoff race right now?
That's really the only playoff race right now.
So the other divisions are pretty much locked up. Is the wild card locked up? I guess the NL West is the only one. The wild card contender is going to come from the NL West?
No, not necessarily.
No?
So the NL East, the Braves have a pretty good lead over the Phillies. I think it's like a 6 or 7 game lead.
Remember when the Braves were bad a few years ago?
Yeah.
They turned that around.
They really did. The Cubs have a 2-game lead over the Brewers. So the Brewers are sitting in the first position for the first wild card slot in the NL West.
Can I just shout out
in the NL.
Can I just shout out Christian Yelich?
Yeah.
Yeah, the most Miami Marlins thing ever. You give that guy away, and he becomes like an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
He hit for the cycle twice this year.
No, he's been amazing.
Both times against the Reds.
And he's been a Dodger killer, which is very frustrating. And then holding the second wild card spot are the St. Louis Cardinals. Okay, a half game over the Rockies, and the Dodgers are basically tied with the Cardinals. So depending on how this shakes out, you're either going to have 2 teams from the NL Central in the wild card, or 1 from the Central, 1 from the West. And then the Diamondbacks still have an outside shot at taking one of those slots. But then in the American League, it's basically decided. You've got Boston, Cleveland, and Houston winning their divisions. You've got the Yankees and the A's in the wild card positions. And then Tampa Bay is like 6.5 games out of the wild card. So it's pretty much over.
And something to keep an eye on, though. Boston has 103 wins right now. That's hard to say. 103 wins right now. The record is 116 by the 1906 Chicago Cubs. So they have a chance to break that record.
Do they?
Well, probably not. I mean, they have to.
Yeah, they might have to win. They
have to win out.
Yeah.
But this team is good. It's one of the best teams to come along in a while, and some are calling it one of the best Red Sox teams ever, which is saying something because Manny Ramirez and Big Papi.
Yeah.
Boy, baseball was fun back then. Now we have Cody Bellinger.
You know, the last team to have wins in the 100 and teens was the 2001 Seattle Mariners, and I think they lost like in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
To the Yankees, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So as much as the regular season is important for postseason positioning, baseball is that one cruel sport where it all comes down to whoever your opponent is in October, and if 2 or 3 of your pitchers have an off night, your season's over.
Yeah. Just ask you, Darvish. Ooh, I knew that would sting.
Too soon. For future reference, that will always be too soon.
Gotcha.
Speaking of the Dodgers, I know we already talked about them a little bit.
What, you want to talk about the Dodgers more?
I am just so happy that the Dodgers are finally hitting. You know, we went through all summer, they didn't have their run, but now the bats are finally alive. They've scored the most runs of any team in the month of September. And it is the usual suspects. Turner's hitting, Machado's hitting, but it's also the guys who can be a little bit streaky. What? Why are you laughing?
Sorry, the pictures of Ryan Fitzmagic and his press conference came back up on my computer. Sorry.
Okay. But you've also got Max Muncy who's hitting. You've got Jock Peterson who's hitting. You've got
Fitzmagic.
You've got everyone's friend, my friend, your friend, Puig, your friend.
I love Yasiel Puig.
Yasiel Puig is the most fun baseball player to watch. He may be the most fun human to watch. Like, I think he deserves a reality show. If we had a Puig Your Friend reality show and cameras just following around, they went to his charity, his Wild Horse Foundation, where he helps disadvantaged youth, and his family life, I'm sure, is pretty funny. The guy's just a character. He licks bats. He licks his bat when he, like, swings through a ball or he fouls it off.
I love this Happy Feet thing where he's like, He'll like take a pitch that's inside. He'll do like the choppy feet in his feet. That's so
He'll do a
fun to
little
watch.
dance in the batter's box.
dances.
He wags his tongue.
The tongue wag. It's a good one.
His non-baseball skills are like 99. His baseball skills are like in the 80s, right? But his strength, oh my goodness. When you watch him connect on a home run, it really looks effortless. You think, what is that, like pop up, maybe a nice line drive, but the ball just keeps going. It's amazing. And so he's heating up. He had 2 games over the weekend against the Cardinals. First game, 2 home runs. Next game, 3 home runs. He had 5 home runs in like 10 at-bats.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was awesome. So I think as a show, we need to come up with a Yasiel Puig nickname. I know he calls him, I think Wild Horse is one of his names. Mm-hmm. But now that he's become like this crazy home run hitter, I mean, he's on pace to finish the season with like 75 home runs if he continues at this pace. Right? 10 every 2 days. So yeah. So let's give him a name. So Puig, your friend, is good. Should we play off of that?
Yeah, so he often, when he tweets or does Instagram, he'll do a hashtag Puig your friend, right? And so yeah, using that as our starting point, Puig your home run machine.
That's pretty good. But I think we should like play on the accent and call him Puig your home run machine.
Home run
machine.
Machine.
I like
machine.
that. I like that.
Yeah.
Puig your Dominican Barry Bonds.
Okay.
No.
Well, he's Cuban.
That's problematic. I knew that.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big part of his story.
Yeah. Puig you're smuggled into the country.
Okay. No, I don't think that's going to be good.
That's not going to stick.
Puig your howitzer. I don't know, because he hits bombs.
Puig your chooch.
Oh, well, chooch is different.
Yeah, it is different, but he's got a chooch.
He does. He definitely has a chooch.
David, what's a chooch?
A chooch is what you say when an outfielder or any player really besides a pitcher has just an absolute cannon for an arm, right? So you say, oh man, that guy's got a chooch. It's like the next time Yasiel Puig like robs one at the wall and then throws a guy out at third, you can say, oh man, he's got a chooch. It's so fun to say. Try it at home. We'll wait.
Good one.
Isn't that fun?
I think what sums up Puig the best though is probably Puig your Puig, because there's no other thing. There's no other Puig.
Puig your Puig. Puig gonna Puig. Puig gonna Puig. That's too hard to say.
Sister Puig.
Sister Puig. Pitch a Puig. There it is. Pitch a Puig. There you go. Because like pitcher please, but pitch a Puig. That's good. I like that. We found it.
So even though I was gone, I was really pleased that when Thursday, Friday rolled around, I saw in my podcast feed David's hot take something or other.
Yeah, not sure what we're gonna call that yet. And I'm in talks right now. I'm in contract negotiations with another YouTuber / podcaster who also does our sound editing to maybe do a combined like a show with him. So my David's Hot Take Corner, something that could become the Henderson Bros Hot Take something or other. So yeah, we're in contact. We've been in contact. We've been negotiating. So we'll see if we can make something work out with the contract. So
as long as I still get 80% of it, fine by me. Do
you're getting 80?
Anyways,
this is the risk of getting into business with a contract lawyer.
Time for everyone's, and by everyone I mean David's favorite segment of the week. It's David's Hot Take Minute.
Let's do this.
On your mark, get set, hot take, go.
I've been harping on this. Stop spoiling stuff in movies and the trailers and things like that. The new Captain Marvel trailer comes out. There's some cool surprise. Stop doing that. I'm still furious about the Hulk coming in.
She's a woman?
No. Don't interrupt David's Hot Take.
Sorry,
Something. Okay, video game developers have a terrible, awful job, right? They're behind the scenes. They don't get any credit. No one cares about who they are, but everyone's going to trash their game. Everybody. I wish I did this. I wish I did that. Well, tell you what, Dave. Why don't you actually do something about it, become a video game developer, and make your own games, right? Okay, a rare Dave prediction. This doesn't happen very often. Josh Gordon will torch everybody as a Patriot. He will torch everyone, okay? I'm super angry that Anthony got to play the new 2K and I didn't. That was pretty cool. A little picture of LeBron James in a Lakers uniform is still a little icky feelings inside, but whatever. Hey, the 49ers won, but they beat a team who looks kind of mediocre and or bad. So, I don't know about that. The Jags are still a quarterback away from winning a Super Bowl. If Bortles wins, he'll be the second coming of Joe Flacco. AJ Green can make just about any coach and QB look amazing. He's the ultimate quarterback and coach job security blanket. If he's on your team, you're going to look great. He had 3 touchdowns in that game. He was amazing. He'd make any quarterback look amazing, even Andy Dalton. Tom Brady is currently the second best quarterback in the league. He's 41 years old. Josh Gordon is going to make him look like he's 38 again. Please, more Puig in baseball and less Cody Bellinger in baseball. I love this new Harry Potter deck building game I got for my wife. We played all the time. It's super fun. I just wish they had made the same game but for Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. It would be so much cooler. It would be so much better. Also, reporters in the field are either super weak or they're lying about how strong the wind is out there in the field. All right? So please tell us the truth or get out of there.
Woohoo! Dave's Hot Take Minute. That last point is hilarious. I love the videos of these weather guys who are like bracing themselves against the wind, or they're in waders up to their mid thigh,
right.
And then you see like these teenagers walking in the background, like
holding the hand of their 8-year-old brother.
Yeah, like no big deal, right? It's awesome. All right, what else? I agree. I'm excited to see what Tom Brady does with Josh Gordon. I'm wondering if it's Randy Moss 2.0. We'll see.
I'm not excited because my wife's Uncle Rob, I just call him Uncle Rob.
Okay.
He's a huge Patriots fan, and he is absolutely just the worst. They win, and he's just like, oh, I'm just a humble Patriots fan. And then they lose, and he's like, it's no big deal, Dave. It rings, or whatever he says, right? And so when they were losing to the Jaguars, I sent him a text, and I said, your team is going to lose to Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles, Rob. And he said, yep, and the media, not spelled wrong, and the media will tell us that Bill Belichick and Tom Brady are washed up. Happens every year. And I said, sure thing, Rob. Father Time is undefeated. And he said, you're right there, Don. I'm very sad. And a frowny emoji. And I said, I knew you'd see reason. But anyway, so I think he'll be insufferable. And the best part of this text thread that I'm reading that I realize now is the misspellings of the word Belichick. It's Bill, Bella, like Bella, like from the Twilight series.
Yeah.
And then check, like a check you get in the mail. And then a media became medial.
Wow.
So that's more of a visual joke that I'm now realizing I shouldn't have done on the podcast.
Yeah, maybe we should just not read our text conversations on the podcast anymore.
That one, it was funny when it happened, though. It's middle school all over again.
And I just want to touch on the NBA 2K19. So while I was in Sweden, I went to Comic-Con.
That was a big surprise, by the way. I definitely didn't have Comic-Con visit in the pool.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was riding the subway, and I saw a flyer for Comic-Con Sweden, like that night. And so I made the split decision, I'm going to Comic-Con. And I went, and the Swedes are just as weird as Americans. They love their cosplay, and I saw, all my favorite superheroes, and I saw Kylo Ren and Rey. I saw Spider-Man.
Oh,
Ron Weasley.
Your wife told me about 2 Spider-Mans. Can you talk about both Spider-Mans?
Yeah.
Spider-Man? Spider-Man?
So there was one... Spider-Mans.
Spider-Mans? All right. English teacher says different.
Yeah, there was one guy who really looked the part. He had the official Spider-Man suit. And
definitely dropped some serious money on that.
And spoke really good English and almost sounded like the current Spider-Man character.
Get out.
Yeah, he did a really good job. And this other guy who basically had a red beanie with eye holes cut out over his head. And Sharpie to draw the lines on that. And I was like, oh, it's other Spider-Man.
You called him other Spider-Man.
And I was FaceTiming the family at the time, and I said, I showed him my family, and he goes, oh, tell your wife a Spider-Man says "Hoi," it's awesome. I was like, okay. It was so funny.
And my sister's reaction would have been the best because she is one of the sweetest people I've ever met in my entire life, and I'm sure she didn't want to hurt the guy's feelings, but at the same time she was probably thinking, oh my gosh, that's terrible.
And so this Comic-Con, the theme of it was gaming. And so half of the venue was just dedicated to gaming. There was the Nintendo section, PlayStation, Xbox, and they had all these new games. Some recently released, some yet to be released.
That's cool.
I played NBA 2K19. I played some Switch games. I played the newest Tomb Raider, the newest Assassin's Creed. I also played some VR games where you put the headset on and all of a sudden you're in space. You can't see your hands; they're right in front of your face, and you can't see them. Instead, you see 2 fists that are not your own, or 2 guns, or whatever it is you're doing. It was so much fun.
Like, did the VR look super realistic, or was it like cartoony a little bit in its graphics, like a video game?
No, it was like a video game, but there was one part where it was like you're watching a movie, like there's like a training portion that you have to watch, and that was all real, like real people, and that just seemed like it was real. You look around and there's furniture and stuff. I mean, so cool. It's what I want for my birthday and Christmas. So, Laura, I know you're listening to this podcast. I'll send you a link on Amazon. This is so cool. The only downside is that you're tethered. And so when they come out, and I guess there are, because like it has to be plugged into the computer to like run the game and stuff. So when they come out with some, and there are some untethered models, but I guess they're not as reliable. So when they overcome that, and then they get this like omnidirectional track that you can like run on and stuff and not actually move, right? Then it'll be perfect. Except that you're not actually like playing with other people and you stopped interacting with humans.
That's where we're headed anyway.
That's true.
Might as well steer into that skid.
Just go head first.
Yeah, just dive head. We're gonna get there eventually.
Well, if you go head first, it's 15 yards on the play.
Apparently, you don't even have to go 15. You don't even have to go head first. You can like baby tap him with your shoulder on his shoulder, and it'll be like, 15 yards. Suspend him for a game. My goodness, I'm still angry about that. I don't understand that rule. Do we know what a catch is?
I think we've moved past the catch. We don't know what any of the fundamentals of football are anymore.
I'm so lost. But I still love it.
All right, so last Sweden story for this podcast.
Are we going to do more next week, maybe?
I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so the Swedes are tall people, David. I don't know what the average height is, but you don't need to.
No, okay.
You don't have to do that.
Don't
just suffice it to say they're a tall people. Maybe a good head and a half above me.
Who told you the Swedes were tall?
Good point, David. My source is my eyeballs.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
All right, okay. I guess carry on. I'll allow it.
And it's not that I'm like abnormally short, and when I think about myself, I don't think necessarily short. In South America, I'm tall, but I'm like 5'9", okay? Ish.
You could have led with I'm 5'9". That would have taken out a lot of those wordy words.
Do I interrupt Hot Take Minute?
Yes, you do.
Except
yes,
for
you do interrupt
okay.
Hot Take Minute.
All right.
You threw me off my game.
Okay, but I'm not a normal 5'9". Okay? I've got extremely short legs and an extremely long torso.
Okay, I didn't know where you were going with an abnormal 5'9". I was like 5'9" on the moon. Like...
So if you like measure my feet to hips, you would think I'm like 5'4". If you only measured my hips to head, you would think I'm like 6'4". Okay, together it makes about 5'9".
Gotcha.
Okay,
just average that out.
So I've got a really long torso and pretty short legs.
Gotcha.
Okay,
I follow you.
The Swedes are tall, but they seem to be properly portioned.
So they're normal. They're normal 5'9".
Yeah, they're normal 5'9" or normal 6'4" or whatever they happen to be, right?
But as you were walking around, you realized that you're not as tall. You didn't feel as tall as when you were in America because everyone else is taller around you.
Yeah, okay. Definitely. And this was made most apparent when at Comic-Con, actually, I went to the bathroom and I went to sit on the toilet and I experienced something I don't think I had felt since maybe I was 6 or 7 years old.
This is going to get into weird bathroom territory.
As I'm sitting on the toilet...
The tension is building.
I realize that my feet are not touching the ground. I'm in full-on dangle. I'm moving my feet back and forth, and there is no friction.
Were they even touching the ground at all?
They weren't touching I could... If I angled my toes... I could barely touch the floor. I could barely get my toes on the floor if I angled them the right way. Otherwise, I'm dangling from the toilet seat. Which, when it comes time to finish up on the toilet seat, and you don't have that leverage from being able to push off the ground, you're in a very precarious situation.
Talk about a cliffhanger. Did you stand up? Did you have to stand up? I don't mean to get too personal here, but how do you rectify that situation?
How do you rectify that situation?
No, how do you rectify that situation?
Rectify. Oh, yeah. there was some maneuvering. All right.
Some maneuvering?
I contorted myself in ways I didn't know possible, David. But we got the job done. And
made it out there alive. You made it out of the stadium alive, as Tomlinson likes to say.
So you may think fondly of your childhood years,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
And what a carefree life it was being a kid.
Absolutely.
But when you're at the mercy of a toilet seat and you're just dangling, clutching for your life, you realize being a kid wasn't all fun and games.
I imagine the scene from Elf. Have you seen these toilets? They're ginormous.